Again, Philip?
What's that?
Hold the cup up. A little bit that way. A little bit more. Good. Okay. Yep. And what is that cup? What does that represent?
Well, this is what the amount of food we got per day while we were in the Stalag 9A. It was a rutabaga soup, and it was very juicy. No solids or nothing to it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, anyway. We are, what is it? Pull it down a little bit, huh? Push it down a little bit, gently. Go down. Down. The other way. Back the other way. Right. Go ahead. More. More. Stop. Right there. Good. That's good. Okay. All right, we are, Philip, okay. What is your name?
Philip Walter LaForce.
Okay. All right.
Staff Sergeant.
Okay. And, Philip, what is the address here?
Here is 7052 Northwest 30th Street, Okeechobee.
Okay, and who's attending the interview is, I know your wife is in the other room finishing the paperwork. What is her name?
Adelaide.
Adelaide LaForce?
That's right.
Okay. And my name is Carlton Cartwright. I'm the President, CEO, founder of the Children's Coalition Incorporated, and I have my assistant with me today, and her name is?
Marcuria Passat.
Okay, Marcuria Passat. Okay, and let's see. Philip, what wars and what branch of service were you in?
I was in the Army. I was with the 28th Division.
Okay.
I was a staff sergeant.
Okay. Go ahead.
With Company F.
Where did you serve?
In Europe.
Okay. Where?
I landed in Normandy on the 26th of June, and I went all the way across to Luxembourg when I got captured in December.
Okay, good. Were you drafted or were you enlisted?
I was drafted.
Uh-huh. Where were you living at the time?
Massachusetts.
Okay. And why did you choose the Army to go into?
I had that letter said, "Greetings, you are now in the service," and they assigned me to the Army out in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri.
Okay. Do you recall your first days in the service?
Yeah, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. But the base that I went in for was Fort Devens, Mass.
Mm-hmm.
And then we transferred out to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And we're there for about a year and a half. And then we went to Camp Polk, Louisiana for maneuvers. Then we come back to Camp Breckenridge in Kentucky. We stayed there for a couple of months. And then they broke up the outfit and they sent us all to Fort Meade, Maryland. And you didn't know where you was going until you had your clothes issued. And when you got your clothes, you knew you was going either Europe or South Pacific.
Tell me about your boot camp. What was training experience like? You remember any of your instructors?
I don't remember any of their names at all, but it was a hellhole up there in Missouri. It was up in the Ozark Mountains, and when it rained, that mud was hell on your feet. when you had to go do them force marches and such. And we stayed there, like I say, a year and a half. And then we went to Camp Polk, Louisiana.
What did you do there?
We had maneuvers. That's where you have the first stuff before you go overseas. And then we went from there to Camp Breckenridge, which we figured we were getting ready to go overseas. Then they split the division up, shipped everybody to Maryland, and they brought in all new recruits and did the division all over again. That was the 75th Division.
I forgot to get your birthday.
What's that?
When is your birthday? When were you born?
August 26, 1924.
And I think you gave me the address, didn't you?
Yeah.
You did. Okay, fine. Okay, so you served in what, World War II?
World War II.
Where exactly did you go?
We went to, we were the first boat, we landed up in Scotland. From Scotland we went down into England. And then they put us out in the woods where I was a driver. All these vehicles were all packed up in the woods. And we had to waterproof them. All them vehicles, we had to waterproof them to go on the LSTs to go into France. And that took us about 2 months. And then we got our call to go in on the 26th. To go in, and I drove a tank into France on the 26th. Mm-hmm. And I went in about 20 miles. They had made that much ground where we dropped off the tanks and stuff. And we stayed there for about a week unloading trucks. Because every truck that went into France, it was loaded with something, and it all had to be unloaded at this depot and then separated and gone all over the different places. And then they brought us all to another depot. And then from there we went, they put us on trucks and we joined the 28th Division. That was in July of 1945. And we stayed with the division all the way till we got captured, all the way out to Luxembourg. We walked halfway across France. We were in Paris the day it was liberated. We paraded right down through the center of town, all the way out to the airport. We got there and the mess chow hadn't got there yet. So we had K-rations for supper, and the next morning we get out, and within 2 hours we were liberating the town. And we did that. Every day we liberated 3 to 6 towns a day, all the way across France, walking.
Do you remember arriving? What was it like when you got there, when you first got there?
Where, got to where? France?
Yes, sir.
When I got into France, we come off the LSTs, and we drove the vehicles we had up to a depot, and we had to leave them. And we had to stay there. The fighting was about 20 miles from us. Mm-hmm. They had gone in that far. And we stayed there about a week while we were unloading vehicles. And then we went to another depot where they had all the service people going in as surplus to join the 28th Division because they lost so many people in the St. Lo area that we went up there. I guess it took about 6 truckloads of us to bring us in there to bring them back up to par. And then we paraded in Paris, and then we took off. We took off for the other countries, walking. We didn't ride much, I'll tell you, all the way across France. We lived off our backpacks because the chow wagon wasn't with us much. We were eating K rations and C rations all the way across.
How was the food?
Well, like I say, it was K rations
Right.
and seafood. It was and
Sea rations.
sea rations, and you make do with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then we scrounged what we could out of the gardens, going through France.
Mm-hmm.
We will say the people, when we were liberating these towns, the bakeries gave us a lot of that bread that they make, that stick bread they have, and there was a lot of vegetables you get out of the gardens to make sandwiches with until your chow wagon catch up with you.
Right.
Like I say, you lived off your backpack because you had to.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what was your job assignment? I think I heard you say. You were driving a tank, but now you're walking.
I drove it, yes. I had two MO numbers. I had a driver's number and I had an infantry number. Mm-hmm. And when I got to France, they say the driver's number's gone. You're back on the infantry number, and that's what it is. You go by what they tell you do on your code number. I had a driver's code number and I had an infantry code number.
Okay. Did you see combat?
You bet your life I saw combat shrapnel on my shoulder. I got shrapnel when I got blown out of a foxhole up in the Hurricane Forest. But I just went to a hospital and they pulled it out and sent me back up front. And then I froze my feet, froze my hands because it was so goddamn cold over there. It was cold in going through the Hurricane Forest in that area. Because that was we were there in November. The late October and November is when we were in the Hurricane Forest area. And that was hell. And then they shipped us, we lost so many people getting to where we were in the Hurricane Forest. Mm-hmm. They shipped us up to Luxembourg, which they called it was an hour area, where we got showers. Such. We only got showers maybe once a month, once every couple months. And then we were in that area in Luxembourg while they were filling up with all our new people.
Right.
And that's when we got hit. We had all new people. And we were there for about a month. And we were pulling patrols all along the front lines. Well, our company had a 5-mile front line.
Wow.
And we were I was at the far perimeter with my outfit, with my patrol. And we had to run a patrol 3 miles every day and meet an anti-tank outfit coming from the other way. We had to meet 4 times a day over there. And this is how you worked it. And we lived in a farmhouse that, well, the roof wasn't all of it, but it was better being in tents. Mm-hmm. And they'd send the food out in the trucks at lunchtime and such for us every day. And then we'd go in, I think maybe once a week, and have a shower while we were there. That was in Luxembourg, the town of Clairvaux, and that was in the valley. And the last time we were in there, we went in the night before the stayed, and at 4 o'clock in the morning the shelling started. That was the 15th of December. And them tanks got up on that ridge and they leveled that town. They went in there, leveled everything that was in that town, they leveled it. And then they sent us, my group, back over to regimental for guard duty over there to guard the regimental. But that didn't mean nothing. We got overrun by Tiger tanks the next day, the 16th, and that's when we got captured on the 16th of December. You ain't gonna stop a Tiger tank with an M1 or a BAR or anything like that. You gotta have rockets. And that's how, and that night we got captured. The next day they put us in a schoolhouse. And we stayed there for about 4 or 5 days while they were gathering prisoners. And then they gathered all a bunch of them and we brought us into a railhead and loaded us on freight cars. And we were headed for, I didn't know what camp we were going to, but we wound up in Bad Orb, 9B. We got there on Christmas Day. But en route on Christmas Day, we were strafed by our own planes. So the guards let a couple of the prisoners out of the car, and the planes pulled off. So we got survived there, and that was the first food we got was Christmas Day at Bad Orb. And then they separated us. Now all the non-coms were separated from the privates.
Right.
Corporals on up.
Mm-hmm.
And they took us, loaded us back on another train, and we went to 9A. That's what's on there.
Right.
And we stayed there. At that camp, there was a lot of other prisoners there, but they work prisoners for the Germans. There were women, there were men, there were all kinds of people there at that camp. And we got there somewhere around New Year's, where we got there. And we stayed there until March 30th. That's when Patton come through, and he liberated us.
Oh, okay. Did you get to meet him?
No, we didn't get to meet him. We were just lucky enough to see his boys take care of it.
Right.
But the only thing is they gave us a lot of food, but it didn't help us any because everybody got sick from it. They got dysentery and everything else because food was too rich.
Mm-hmm.
For what we're eating, rutabaga soup, and that was it. That's all we had.
Right.
And when you just take a soup like that and start eating a heavy meal that they sent in, and then the prisoners had to take over the town we were in Ziegenheim, because our water, electric, and all that came from there.
Uh-huh.
And I was picked on one room to go in to do guard duty up in town. And I stayed there, I think, 4 or 5 days. Then they brought in C-47s. And they loaded us all up and brought us to Camp Lucky Strike.
Mm-hmm.
Over in New Jersey, can't even think of the town it's in, Le Havre, France. Okay. And we were there, I only think 2 or 3 days, where we got showers, new clothes, and when we were boarding ship to go to England, it was a hospital ship. Over the loudspeaker came that President Roosevelt had died that day. So we went over to England and finished loading. And then it took 2 weeks to go back into New York, where we unloaded. I forget the date we got into New York. We went Camp Kilmer on a Saturday, and they had a big building set up with just telephones so we could call home and let everybody know that we were all right. And they said they were going to give us a 60-day leave and ship us out on Sunday to the nearest base to our home. Which Sunday morning they shipped me up to Fort Devens with, I think there was about 20 of us went to Fort Devens. We got there, and then we got our 60-day leave. And then after that we had to report back up to Lake Placid Club for, I think it was June 30th or July 1. I had to report back up there for 2 weeks. It was just like getting drafted all over again.
Uh-huh.
And they reassigned me to Rhode Island. And I brought I think I brought six private with me. And we went down to Rhode Island and took care of a German prison camp. We were in charge of the camp, and there was a great big school there for the prisoners. Before we shipped 3 shiploads back to Germany from that area. And then my discharge come up and I took it. That was in October 14th of 45.
Mm-hmm.
And I took my discharge and that was it.
You said there were a lot of casualties?
Yes, we did. We did up in the Hurricane Forest. We had a hell of a lot of them. Shit, them snipers up in them churches where steeples were knocking us off like nothing. We're using a BAR as a sniper gun because that was the only thing with a long barrel that we could get a shot at.
What is a BAR?
That's that Browning automatic. It's a heavy gun. It has 30 shots to it, I guess. The magazine. It's almost like you can go automatic or single shot on it.
Right.
Never fired one of them until they handed it to me over there in France. You know, they always give that to the smallest guy in the outfit. Because it's the heaviest gun.
Right. So, what are a couple of your most memorable experiences? I know you said you were a prisoner of war, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about your experiences in captivity and when you were finally freed.
Well, when we got freed, that was a real good day for us. Because the German ship surrendered the camp to us the day before.
Mm-hmm.
Before Patton got there. Because they knew they were going to get the shit beat out of them. So we had to take it. I think that was about one of the best days I knew I had coming, because I was going to be back in with the American forces again, you know?
Yeah.
But I think one of the worst ones that I saw was when we got up on a hill and we couldn't get out. And they sent P-38s in the strafe. And one of them got knocked down. And I never seen pilots get to be like hornets in my life as I did then. Them guys they used up all the ammunition, went back and reloaded and come back. And they would, you know how bees get to be?
Yeah.
Well, that's the way them planes were up there. Them guys they were really something. Then they sent in a bunch of tanks and picked us up and brought us off that hill. That was about one of the worst ones that I saw. And we were fortunate we didn't lose the whole outfit when we were up on top of that hill.
Mm-hmm. How many guys were in your outfit?
Or company?
Yeah.
See, the company must have 200 and some odd people.
Gotcha.
And I guess there was a couple companies of us up on top of that hill. We went in to just more or less to check out something, and we got nailed up there, you know. We shouldn't have been there. But like I'm one of the fortunate ones, I come home early.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any other questions you want to ask?
Yep, here we go. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
I had the Bronze Star and I had all of the ones you have for shooting. But I forgot what I got the Bronze Star for.
Read that letter.
Okay.
He wrote that.
All right. Can I have a copy of this?
I can make you a copy of it.
You can? Yeah, I'd like a copy of it. This can go with his, this will be his manuscript. Oh, okay. Okay. Philip Walter LaForce. 028147521. VA file number CCSS 14767708.
That's all.
What?
And on the other side of that is what he went through. He had to take care of German prisoners.
Well, I told him about that.
Yeah, but there's a letter you wrote.
Yeah.
I can read this into the record if you want me to. I can read it into the record.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'll make a copy for you.
Okay. Becoming a prisoner of the Germans, strapped by our own, planes and boxcars on the way to prison camp. Okay. Seeing the German soldiers kill some of the prisoners as they descended the boxcars, being interrogated by the German officers, living in close confinement with little food, no heat, cold weather, with inadequate clothing, watching prisoners die without any medical help, not knowing when you might be killed. Drove all types of army vehicles, from motorcycles to tanks. Drove under blackout conditions over all types of terrain. Made minor repairs on road. Received 2 Purple Hearts, 2 Bronze Stars, 5 Service Stars, Combat Infantryman Badge, Marksman Rifle, and Presidential Unit Citation. Okay. Awarded 2 Purple Hearts. Captured 1 December 16, 1944. Liberated March 30th, 1945. Being put in charge of German prisoners when I returned to the States. Seeing them treated like kings. That made your day. Let me see. They had a very well-equipped PX. Plenty of food and beer. They were able to go to school and learn a trade. I can only remember how badly I was treated and the circumstances in which I had to endure. This has been bottled up inside of me. I was unable to talk about my problems. I have a hard time to communicate with people. I lost the hearing in both ears after being blown out of my foxhole. I also developed high blood pressure, and I'm on edge all the time. I'm in group therapy twice a month, the VA in Riviera Beach. Okay.
You know, you forget a lot of it as you go along that
Right.
you should bring out, but you know, it's really hard to remember it all.
I understand. The next part is while you were in the service, how did you stay in touch with your family?
I'd write letters.
Right. Then we talked about the food. Yeah, I guess the supplies was scarce also, huh?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Obviously you did. You know, tell us about how your pressure and your stress, the level of stress and pressure.
Well, I don't think you realize it over there of the pressure and shit that you had until you come home.
Right.
And when you come home and afterwards, that's when the pressure comes. After we got married, I almost gave her a really a hard time at night. You know, you wake up from a dream or some goddamn thing. It's really hard to. It's hard to control yourself.
Right. Was there anything that you did special for good luck while you were going through all of that?
No, the only thing that kept me going was her.
Okay. Obviously, you were married at the time you were in the service?
No, we were just going together.
Okay.
We got married when I come home.
Uh-huh.
When I come home on leave, on that 60-day leave, we got married, and she went to Lake Placid Club. If you was married Your wife, you could bring your wife or you could bring your girlfriend up there. I had her up there at the Lake Placid Club for 2 weeks. It cost me $36. Now we're up on the 5th floor. Now that room that we had was $150 a day.
Oh.
But the government took over the whole goddamn building,
Right.
so I don't know how they made their arrangements with the thing. But same, they did the same thing down here in Miami. They took over some of the hotel, because I talked to a lot of them. A lot of the prisoners come down here, and they went to different places. In New England, that's where we went, up there. You know, you had to just go where they told you were going to go.
Right.
And yet, when you file for your claims with the service, you don't know the shit you go through. It took me 45 years to get 30%. And I'm up to 100% now.
Uh-huh.
But you don't know the bullshit that the inspector down here, over there in St. Pete, some of them people over there, they should take them and hang them bastards. Because they don't know what that guy went through.
Uh-huh.
And they're just guessing.
Right.
And they turn them down for the craziest goddamn things. And you got to keep applying and applying. And they say, send our records. They know where the records are. Who the hell are they bullshitting? It's a shame the way they treated the veterans.
Was there any entertainment while you were going through any of this, before, after, during?
The only time we saw entertainment when we were up the Lake Placid Club.
Okay.
They had, the Army took over, like I say, and they had the Army bands up there, and you know how a bunch of GIs get to put a show on?
Yeah.
They're better than some of these goddamn actors that you see. And that's what, every night, we had 2 nightclubs up there in the club.
Right.
And they'd do stuff like this. And it was, and that's when, what the hell's her name there? Big Shot, that big woman, can't even think of it. She had a camp right up there by us. She was up at the hotel all the time. She did a lot for the veterans.
You don't remember her name?
The one that sang, I can't even think of it. Hey, Addie.
Addie? Addie?
Who was the woman singing that was up the Lake Placid Club, the big woman that sang that?
What?
That sang up there.
The entertainer up at Lake Placid, the woman.
Oh, it was Kate Smith.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I can't remember half the shit.
That's okay. So what'd you do when you were on leave? Where did you travel while you were in the service?
When I traveled, and I didn't travel in the service.
Okay.
Well, the only thing I did, I went from Missouri to Massachusetts. Massachusetts back. And when I was in Rhode Island, I'd go home once a week. I'd go home in the middle of the week and I'd go home on the weekend because it was only 60 miles to home.
Right.
So I'd go home then. And when I got discharged, we would come out of Camp Edwards down the Cape. And they said, if you're going to file for a claim, you're going to be here for 6 months. So you don't file. You don't want to stay down at Camp Edwards for 6 months. There's nothing down there.
Right. Were there any humorous or unusual events?
No, I didn't. I don't remember any of them.
Do you have any photographs?
Oh, I don't know where the hell they are now. Some might be up north, some here.
What did you think of the officers or your fellow soldiers?
Some of them were good, and some of them were bad.
Okay.
You know, you find them just like today. There's some good ones down there at down there in West Palm, and there's some lousy bastards. You try to make the best of it.
Right. Did you keep a diary?
No, didn't have one. Hey, you know, when you carrying everything on a pack, on your back. You don't keep much stuff.
Right.
You just don't keep it. I don't care what anybody says, and, because that's all your possessions is right there. Like when I was in France, we didn't get a shower for 3 months. These kids here have got to take a shower every goddamn day today. I don't know what they'd do if they had to go 3 months without a shower. And when you're walking every day, we used to walk from 10 to 20 miles a day, because them towns are real close in France.
Right.
And so we used to do probably 3-4 times, maybe 5 times a day. We'd liberate.
Did you want me to make a copy of that?
Yeah, you can do that, and then we can slip that in there.
Okay.
Okay.
I probably should have remembered a lot more, but my memory's gone to hell.
Well, that's...
I took sick about 3 or 4 months ago, and I couldn't even walk. So I'm lucky, I guess I'm still talking,
Right.
you know.
Do you recall the day that your service ended?
Did I enter the service?
Yeah, the end.
Oh, the end.
What were you doing? Where were you?
I was in Rhode Island.
Uh-huh.
I was down there in charge of a prison camp.
Right.
And while I was down there, I had one German prisoner paint a nice picture of my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's hanging up in the living room. And but he wouldn't sign it. He said, some days it'll be worth something. I said, it's worth more to me without your signature. I don't give a damn, you know, because it'll go through stay in my family a long time.
Right.
You know.
Did you work, or did you go back to school?
I worked. My father had a moving and storage business, and I went to work for him when I get out. Well, when I get out of service, there was no work around.
Okay.
They had what they call the 52-20 club. That was $20 for 52 weeks.
I heard about that, yeah.
And I did collect. I went to work rather than collect that goddamn money. I said, the hell with it. And I've been on my own. I've been on my own ever since I got drafted. And I started taking care of my money then. And I just keep on taking care of it. It's something that you get used to doing.
Right.
You know?
Did you go back to school? Did you use the GI Bill?
No, I didn't. I used the GI Bill to buy a house.
Oh, okay.
I bought my first house on a GI loan.
Okay.
That wasn't bad, 4.5% now. But when you look at 4.5 today, you'd be grabbed it. You'd grab that 4.5.
Mm-hmm. Did you make any close friendships while you were in the service?
Yes, I did, and but they all disappear after when you get out and you don't hear from a while. They just fade away.
Right. Did you join any veterans organizations?
Yeah, I belonged to VFW. I never belonged to American Legion because you didn't have to be overseas to be in the American Legion at that time. I think it's changed now. At that particular time when I got out, you could join the American Legion, but you didn't have to be a foreign soldier. Okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I belonged to the VFW. I belonged to that. Oh shit, I bet you 60 years, 50, 60 years I belonged to it. Well, my card is a metal one. It ain't a one like you get today.
Right.
The one I got is a metal one because they gave them out if you bought I think it was a lifetime one at the time, way back in the 50s and 60s. If you bought one, you got a metal one, and it was all right.
Right. Okay. What did you do? What did you go on to do as a career after the war?
What they what?
What job? What did you do as a career after the war?
I went out. I started driving a truck for my father on a moving truck. And I started driving, then I finally got my own. I drove all over the country.
Oh, okay.
I had a truck. One of them I drove here to Florida for 17 years.
You had a moving and storage business.
That's what I said.
Yeah. Did your military experience influence your thinking about war or about the military in general?
I just don't like war, period.
Okay.
I don't like when somebody points a gun at you.
I hear you. In your veterans organization, what kind of activities did you post or does your post association have?
Oh, with the VFW up north, I did a lot, but down here I haven't done nothing.
Like what would you do up there?
Oh, I was the president of the corporation, and I was took care of. We had a couple of vehicles we had for parades. I took care of.
Do you attend reunions?
No.
Okay, well, is there anything else you'd like to add that we have not covered in the interview?
No.
Well, I want to thank you very much for your time.
I don't know if it's a good. If I gave you any information.
Nah, you gave me plenty of information. It was very good.
I
You
think
know,
you
they
forgot
talk
one.
about this.
That's okay, though, but it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago, but the fact of the matter is it still came forth with a lot of information anyway.
Right.
That stories, he gave the heart of the story, and that's critical.
All I know is I walked most all the way across France.
Okay.
And I like that France medal that's starting to give people. They should have given it to the whole goddamn 28th Division, because we were all there and we went across the whole goddamn country, and we all wound up getting captured down in Luxembourg and out that way.
Uh-huh.
And in the paper shows they went out 15 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Out of how many? 2,800?
Oh well, I would say out of maybe 25,000.
Jesus.
You take a whole division, because when we paraded down through Paris when it was liberated, the whole division was there, and them people weren't that crazy to see us. They were spitting at us off the balconies and everything else.
Oh, the French?
Yeah, as
Really?
we were walking down the goddamn roads. Oh, they were a bitch. Now the people out in the country, now they were happy to see us. But the city people weren't, because they were making money off the German soldiers.
Oh.
Because they were in there all the time, the German soldiers were, you know.
Okay.
That was a big R&R place.
Uh-huh. France?
Yeah, Paris was.
Yeah.
In fact, when we got overrun over there in Luxembourg, we had half our officers were in Paris on leave. Because it was an area that was dead, so they were taking their leave there, and they go to Paris and fly back after 3 days, but that's when all hell broke loose on the weekend.
Hmm. Okay, we good? Are you done?
Hmm?
Are you done?
Oh yeah,
You sure?
yeah. It's really hard. There's something which you could say something that could ultimately trigger something.
Right.
You know, you got to understand how it works.
No, I'm not pushing you.
I know that.
Okay.
I know that. If just you can say a certain word and it'll spark something, and I can start talking on it.
Right.
It's just one of the things. That's all. It's something that you don't think about all the time.
Right.
It's just sitting back there dead. And then all of a sudden, something sparks it.
Well, it's probably sleeping. It's not dead.
No doubt.
We have been doing too good, even in a ER twice since July 20th. I put him in July 20th, and then I took him back in 2 weeks ago. He lost a lot of weight, but he's coming out of it now. He's doing better now.
Okay.
So we got to see the doctor on the 29th. So.
Okay. Well, I'm going to shut this down. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well.
Thanks, Philip. And